Hi guys, hello everyone. My name is Rizwan and I am one of the senior consultants with Alif Consultancy. So today I am just going to demonstrate you on message trace and we are going to talk about message trace, what message trace is and how does this thing works. So quite often you people might have been working with messages or messaging services or messaging platform and have been it is most important for us to be able to understand as if how does this technology or this terminology works and what is the requirement for this terminology as if why there's a requirement for us to be able to understand as if when one sends the email and the other one expects the message to be received and so what goes on with message trace and how it is being performed. So that is what we are going to discuss in this today's session and I'm going to walk you through with some of the key points with message trace which happens to be working with Office 365 or probably Microsoft 365 because yes this tool or this utility now is being taken care and captured with both of the terminologies from Office 365 unlike from the legacy Exchange servers followed by the on-premises Exchange servers till 2016 and 2019. So when it comes to mail flow, as I've told, so yes, mail flow is the name of sending email messages or sending your electronic messages over the internet. So what happens is many a times this comes into the picture of DNS and a third party filtering service or a filtering service. So with Office 365 you would be getting EOP, that is Exchange Online Protection. So within this email services there is always a possibility that whenever the sender tries to send an email, the recipient may only would be able to confirm it if the recipient would be external. The only thing he can do from his side is to be uh, wait for that message. So in this scenario, if the administrator from the sender side says that the message is being sent, so in those scenarios we make the use of this tool and with this tool we get some logs. On the basis of this we investigate whether the message was being successfully delivered or whether the message was failed, and if the message got failed, so to whom the message got failed, whether it was the sender side who was not being able to deliver the message to the recipient, or it was the recipient itself who rejected the message from the sender's side. So, message trace here is the mechanism whether an electronic message, email traveling over the internet, is being received or not. This is the overall definition of what you can say is whether it is with Office 365, with Amazon, with Yahoo, with Google Mail services, with the other third party filtering services, that the flow would be the same. Even nowadays the filtering services have started giving us this this tool so that if you're using multiple filtering services, meaning that your message does not directly goes from the sender to the recipient, there is someone in the middle which is called as man in the middle or smart host. So the message, instead of directly being getting routed to the recipient's MX record, it goes to the third party filtering services, and from there the routings are made and then it is being handed over to the internet, and accordingly it gets and delivered to the recipient's mailbox. So this is message trace, and we are going to see as if how are the options which have been captured these days within Office 365 on different portals. So the next time, yes, why message trace? So as informed that message trace, yes, is definitely the tool or the utility modulated program which allows anyone, specifically the administrators who would be able to align their users to be able to set whether the email sent is being received by the other person or not, and vice versa. Even if someone is trying to send email, whether the recipient is internal, in this case internal means the member of the same domain or of the same organization tenant within different domains, or an external sender. So yes, even on the basis of that we would be able to perform a trace and would be able to confirm that whether this message got delivered or not. So that is the important aspect why message trace, to be able to understand that yes, whatever communication we are making through whichever channel, that channel is secure and we are able to make communication using that channel and receive or send emails. This is the main or the key purpose of message trace. Now, who can perform message trace? This is the most important aspect, Definitely, when it comes to messaging platform, it would only be the exchange administrator or the global administrator. Someone would be having the permissions to be able to execute this to run this utility. And when you talk about cloud environment or Office 365 services, so different roles as in these are role groups, different role groups like global administrator, exchange administrator, SharePoint administrator has their own role groups. So if you're having necessary permissions or important permissions for SharePoint, so it'd be able to make important changes and functionalities under SharePoint and OneDrive because it goes with one single license or role group. Similarly, if you would be having an exchange role group, you would be able to make changes related with exchange, whether it is mail flow, it is mailbox movement, it is mailbox migration, it is creation of some distribution groups, Office 365 groups, and stuff. So in that case, yes. So what we see is these role groups can further be segregated into some customized role. So what happens is from Azure portal these days, you can still give the permissions. Like if there is, if you do not want a specific administrator or a specific user that he or she may not be the complete exchange administrator, meaning if you would be aligning that role, so there could be a possibility that the administrator would only want from him that he should only be able to perform message trace and should only be able to release emails from quarantine. So with this type, if he would be giving the role of exchange administrator, he would be able to do all the things like releasing the emails from quarantine, performing message trace, migrating mailboxes, converting mailboxes from a shared mailbox to a user, or vice versa. So in order to stop this, Azure has brought up with a feature called as role group. So what happens within that role group is if you would be aligning separate role groups like a security administrator or a security reader or view only recipients, so these kinds of security role groups would make sure that only the role group which is being assigned to the user, so that if he is a security reader, which means that he'll only be able to have read only access, unlike security administrator, which would be able to make all the changes related to security and compliance. So any of these roles, if a person, if an administrator has assigned any of these roles, including security admin, reader, view only recipients, compliance admin, and data loss prevention, so yes, that person would actually be able to perform a message trace. And yes, all these role groups get in defined by the default role group, which is called as organization management, because this is the key role under which all these child role groups exist. So with the help of these role groups, a person would be able to perform a message trace, which is the most important thing, because many a times people tend to say that they are not being able to see the message trace role group, or they are not being able to perform any message trace using the GUI, the graphical user interface, or the PowerShell commandlet. So in those scenarios, we face these kinds of issues wherein we need to check if proper permissions have been aligned to the user to be able to make changes or perform message trace. Next thing would be types of message trace. The most important thing, that how many types of message traces are there supported with Office 365, and what does this actually means. So the first one itself says normal message trace, which can be done or triggered from 0 day to 7 days. Now, what does this means is that this result over here would be instantaneous. It would be pretty quick, and the moment a message is sent, so by default it takes in like 5 to 10 minutes to be able to make all those changes and reports getting generated by the server. So we can just perform this message trace, and within the next 10 minutes we'd be able to immediately get the result as if what happened with that exact message trace, and whether it was delivered or it was not delivered or what exactly happened, we'd be able to keep a trace. But yes, provided it would just be giving the generic answers with some generic events, whether like defer event, receive event, and all these kinds of events. It would not be giving you the complete method detailed event. So in order to be able to perform a detailed message trace, which is called as an extended message trace, that could be performed from 7th day to the 90th day. So you'd be able to perform a message trace on an email which is 90 days old, less than 90 days. Anything which goes beyond 90 days, Office 365 would not be able to publish those or secure those records in Office 365 data containers. And we need to be very sure, if we need to do some investigation, you have to be very quick within the first first 5 or 7 days, I would say. But anything which goes beyond 3 months, that is 90 days, yes, those things would not be traceable. So what happens in detailed formatting, or let's say if someone would be using complex scenarios like multiple filtering services, or email gateway services like Symantec, Barracuda, Mimecast, and Proofpoint. So for these services, what happens is whenever we would be sending out an email from our Office 365 mailbox, it would just hand over the email to the smart host, that would be Proofpoint or such, and from there it is going to forward the email to the recipient's mailbox. So Office 365 is only going to show you the trace that yes, it handed over the email successfully or not to the to the man in the middle, that is the EOP or the filtering services. Office 365 has nothing to do with what happened after that, because if we need to get that level of traces, we then need to go to their portal and check when the email came from Office 365 to the filtering services, what happened out to that message after that. So that similar kind of a trace would again be present onto their portal, and they would be able to check that when the email reached into their portal or to their services, how did that message got routed further. But yes, if a person would think that on Office 365 it says that the message is delivered, that does not mean that the email is actually delivered. It means that the email has been successfully handed over to the next hop, that is again the filtering services. But what after next, you need to get it investigated by contacting the filtering services and engaging them on this, as if what happened with that, because they would be having the dedicated report as if what exactly happened and how the email got filtered post when it got used up from that phase. So this is all about message trace, and just to give you a quick glimpse of that, how does it looks alike in the Exchange Admin Center, what I am going to do is I've just opened my test lab, so with the help of which I can just show you as if where exactly you can find message trace in the Office Admin Center. So this is my Office Admin Center. Definitely I am a global administrator, due to which I'm able to see this admin tab, and this is the similar admin tab. On opening that, this page is open. So you can open message trace using this Exchange Admin Center, which I've opened it right away over here, and you would be getting this option under mail flow message trace. So these are the message trace nowadays which you can perform, and similar to this is a new Exchange Admin Center which Microsoft is trying to pull it up, and post this Microsoft would be working on this new portal only. This is the legacy portal from which many of the Exchange administrator or messaging platform administrators might be using this for. So for some of the tenants, the older tenants, it might have started working, but for many of them who have registered their self from the year 2020, so automatically the tenant gets an upgraded, and see, even if I'm clicking on message trace over here, it is actually routing me to that same page, stating that yes, if you need to perform a message trace, you need to go to this ECP. This is the ECP portal, and it is routing us here. And this similar tab would be present into the security and compliance portal as well. If you go to admin centers and if you click on this security portal, you'd get this option, post which you would be getting a mail flow option in here. You see exchange message trace. On clicking on this, again I would be redirected to the same page. So if you focus on the URL, that is again admin.exchange.microsoft.com/message trace, which is exactly the same one. So you can either run this from the security and compliance page, that is the security tab, then exchange message trace, or from the from the exchange admin center. So once we click on this, we click on start a message trace. And how does this looks alike? So yes, you can run this trace on the basis of sender, on the basis of recipient, on the basis of message ID. So message ID is the most important key through which you'd be able to track one single ID. Let's say within one single message within the to list, if you copy five people, so for all those five people the message ID is going to be the same, meaning that yes, that single message was actually being sent to five of the different recipients. But yes, for those five recipients the message ID is going to be the same. And this is what I was talking about, summary report, enhanced summary report. This is almost one and the same thing, but it would just be the second one would be in the form of a CSV format, but this third one which says extended report, wherein you can just download this report, and the The limitation for this is, if you need to get this report running even for tomorrow, which is within the first 7 days, what you need to do is you need to download, you need to provide a date which would be 7 days before, because you need to give it a date 7 days before, and only after that it would start working, and this would be giving you the result after 1 or 2 hours, and it would be a detailed report containing each and every message routing policy with its complexity and detailed mail flow and the detail hierarchy, as if how did the email got traveled and came to Office 365. It would be, if it would be an inbound email. Okay, so let's say if I would not be providing here any sender or any recipient state, so what it is going to do is it is going to return me the result from 0 till 2 days. And if you'll see this, click on search. So you see, so these are the number of emails, because I've not been responding. So these are going to be the default emails which are being sent by the public folder to the recipient as public folder. Now what I would do is, let's say if I need to perform a message trace again, stating that whichever email which was received to this recipient. So let's say I'll enter my name here or the email address as this, and it is going to capture my details, and I'm going to click on search. So see, so I did received in 3 emails within the next last 2 days, and these were sent from Office 365 alerts. And if you would click on this, it is going to open the event. How does it looks like? Yes, the event got received and the email was successfully delivered. And see where the email got delivered. It got delivered into the inbox folder. These are the message events. If you click on these message events, so these are the basic message events, which shows you, how the message traveled. So these are all the server names where the email came through. So basically this is the mailbox server, because this was an internal email, so it was directly delivered from mailbox to mailbox, and it was delivered successfully. If you need to check on more information, so for more information, see, it would show you the message ID, the most important aspect, the message size, and from which IP the email got delivered. Now similarly, if I need to check this stuff again, what I would do is I would just copy this message ID, and I would again click on edit message trace. Rather than entering my recipient name, what I would do is I would just enter this ID in here with the angular braces. The angular braces are important to be able to run this report here. So once I'll click on search, it would going to, you see, so it has delivered me the same result in over here, and I've again got the same result. So this is how it works with message trace, and it would give you the same information. So it is just like getting a report on the basis of different means, like sender, recipient, date, subject, and all these things. So subject would not be available here, but yes, the most important thing would be sender, recipient, the time, date, and message ID. Only these 3 things or 4 things in over here are important from the point of view of doing a message trace. So this is extended, this is a normal message trace, and the one which I showed you was extended message trace. And once I would go to perform this operation, I need to select an old date, which though it would be, if I need to perform this for this message ID, I know that this message was delivered within the first 2 days. But if I need to get a detailed report, I need to click on this radio button, and I need to make this sure that the date should be more than 7 days, so that extended message trace gets executed. That is a prerequisite for that, and I would be getting in this report in over here, and automatically an email would be shoot out to me stating that yes, your report is downloaded and you can get it done. So this is all about message trace. Secondly, if we need to, we can do the same thing from this side as well. So let's say once I have copied that message ID, what I would do is I would just copy this message ID, and let's say I am going to perform a message trace here, like get hyphen message trace, and it would be message ID, and I would be providing this message ID into this content, and I'm going to click on enter. So it says that this message ID is simply not present. Let me get this done with the help of sender. So it would be recipient, because I traced it with recipient address, and it would be my name. So it is going to return me all the results. Maybe from that capture, once I would be putting on it, it would be the syntax which I'm trying to get in over here is exactly not the one which I'm looking for. But yes, if I'm going to look in for that, bear with me. Let me get for the syntax. I'll just pause this and check this up over here. Give me one quick moment. Hi there again. Thank you everyone. So on coming back and just resuming this video, I was just checking, and actually it was a parameter type error. The initial command which I was entering was message trace ID, and this is called as message ID. So I was just confirming this, and that was the reason for me to get the error. So this module gets an applied for Exchange Online only. And if you see get message trace detail, so this is the so message trace ID actually goes for the on-premises. And if you see this message ID, I was actually entering message trace ID on the basis of which it was just not being allowing me to be able to search for that same message, using PowerShell. So if you see, if I do it again, get hyphen message trace hyphen message, you see it is capturing message trace ID, but it should be message ID. And there it is. So if I provide it in double quotes, it would be capturing it as one single string, and this is how it should be returning me with the result. So with that one single instance message ID, it has actually delivered email to three recipients. If you see, this is the one, this is the second recipient, and this is the third recipient, which means that when this email was sent by Office 365 alerts, so in the to field, three recipients were marked, and that is the reason that on this message ID it is showing as this single email instance was being delivered to three different recipients. If you want to see, as if you know what are the details for that, you can also pull up a format list, that is pipe fl, and you would be getting a detail. So this is report one for first user, this is for second user, and this is for the third user. So this is how we perform a trace. Similarly, unlike we perform it on message ID basis, you can get it performed on action event, on end date, on start date, and on page size, so on and sender address, recipient address. So on all these are called as parameters or switches, on the basis of which you can actually get a message trace. So what happens is, many of the people who tend to work with the PowerShell scripting side, so they tend to prefer the message trace using this stuff. And at that side, sometimes we have seen that it could be a sporadic issue, from the GUI, from the graphical user interface, that it may display results due to some cache issue from the web browser. So many of the alerts or the developers to prefer it to get the results using the message trace ID, and this is how we can perform message trace, and we can easily say whether the email was being delivered, it was being rejected, or what exactly happened with that event. So with this way, we would be able to get in the details for message trace, and we'd be able to easily bifurcate what happened with the message, and why did the message did not got delivered, or why did it got failed, and if it got failed, so from whose end it got failed, and what could be the next consequences for that. So this would be all from my side for this session. Hope you guys have liked this, and if you have any questions for me to answer, feel free to contact me back or contact us back on info@alifconsulting.com. If you would have any queries, I would be more than happy enough to answer you on that. That would be all from my side for this one, for this session. Thank you. You all guys take care, stay safe, stay blessed. Have a good day. Bye bye.